Back in November of 2013, Microsoft launched the Xbox One for $500 US. $400 was the price of the PS4, and that extra $100 was attributed to this guy, the Kinect, or the Kinect 2.0, or the Kinect that's bigger than that other Kinect, or the one that does the cable stuff. And so mainly they sold it as, honestly, the peripheral to the cable features, the ability to watch cable TV through your Xbox One for some reason. I'm still not sure why they attached themselves to cable television at that time, because I think in some ways the trend away from cable had already begun. The fact that both the PS4 and Xbox One included a built-in live streaming and like DVR system for video games would indicate that things were going online, but for some reason Microsoft, I guess, just really wanted this to be an all-in-one box that everyone purchased, sort of like an Apple TV type of thing, and so they went in that direction. And well, maybe there's a market for something like that. Kind of all game consoles had already sort of done that. They all had Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, Prime Video, and all those things that people expect out of an Apple TV. So really, adding the cable feature was not really that important, and certainly not $100 important. But they never really focused on games for the Xbox One with the Kinect. Now, originally, back when it was known as Project Natal, and then later the Kinect, and it launched with the 360, games was the primary and basically only focus of the device. They showed kids petting tigers and you playing, what was it, Rainbow Six? Or it was one of the Tom Clancy games where you reload like a sprinkler or something. I don't know. I just remember a guy at E3 doing something like this to reload his gun. It was bizarre. But that's what they launched it as. It was mainly for gaming. And with the Xbox One, it was not for gaming, and it kind of put them behind to start the generation because they were the box that was $100 more expensive that could only hit 900p, and that's not the box you want to be. Hey, so at this point in the video, if you'd like to click the screen or use the link below, you can jump over to where I break down the games that were actually released for Kinect. There are really, really not very many of them, and a lot of them are from the same companies or are honestly the same exact game just year after year. Some of them don't even require Kinect. It's very strange. But then in October 2017, Microsoft announced that the Kinect was no more. There would be no more Kinect. They were not producing any more Kinects, and your Kinect that you had was now a relic of the past, and one of those weird devices we'll look back on in 20 years and be like, remember that stupid thing somebody made? And well, the Kinect is not completely useless. It has been made more and more useless throughout time. For example, back in, I believe, November of 2015, Microsoft disabled with their dashboard update the ability to control it with gestures. So before, you could put your hand on a tile and then sit there for a weird amount of time, like 3 seconds or so, and it would then click that tile, and then you'd get to the next one, and it really wasn't that functional, but, at the end of the day, it was something, and more than once, when I did have this plugged in, which was not for long, maybe you can tell, it's still dusty. I don't use this. I just didn't want to clean it because I wanted to make it clear that I don't use this. But I more than once turned off Netflix with my foot. I was sitting, recliner, foot up, and for whatever reason, my foot became a hand, and for whatever reason, that paused or shut off the movie or did something bizarre. And that's pretty much how this got unplugged. That and the voice controls were always very particular and not very useful because they were so goddamn particular. But they basically made this almost useless because at this point it is just a microphone. It's basically just voice control because not a lot of things really use the features. And while I appreciate the microphone aspect, and I do think voice controls have a place, and I do think I remember NBA 2K, if you swore, you might get a technical foul. There were different, interactions of the voice control with the game that I thought were interesting and, for games could be explored further. There have been games that have been, largely based on voice control aspects like SOCOM on the PlayStation. But they didn't really necessarily go in that direction very often after the first year. And to be honest, just build the microphone into the Xbox. Then we'd be fine. I know some people put them behind glass in some sort of entertainment center. Don't. Then we're done. Because nobody wants this peripheral. Nobody wants another thing on their setup that is basically a microphone. We could just put the microphone in the box. I say this about Xfinity with their cable boxes. Why do I need the remote? Voice control is much easier when I don't need the remote. Because if I need the remote, oftentimes it is easier to just put the 3 numbers in that I want, rather than to hold the button down and hope it understands what I said and then that it does what I said, because it usually doesn't do what you say. That's just the nature of voice control at this time. So I don't really need another peripheral to control that when I could simply yell at the box itself. That would be handy. But they didn't go in that direction, and at this point, it's not very useful. The good news for Microsoft, however, although strange news considering what they would then later do in November, was they told Polygon in October of 2015 that the vast majority of Xbox One owners still use their Kinect. Probably because the vast majority bought it on launch day and then pretty much no one bought it after, and that means they all got one of these, but the good news is they were still using it. However, for some bizarre reason, they would go on, in that same year, November 2015, to remove the functionality on the dashboard of gesture control with this guy. So, yeah, I bet a lot of people unplugged it a month after this statement was made to Polygon. However, if you think it's not useful now, wait until you hear this. Back in August of 2016, they launched the Xbox One S, which they announced at E3 that year, and, well, it didn't have a port. And this guy, down here, it's a long cord. It's a very long cord. They really, they figured you're not going to actually want this thing. What the fuck is that? That is nothing I've ever seen. It's a sort of a USB type thing, but like backwards, like the USB's in the I don't know. And you needed that port, and the S doesn't have that port. And so, for some reason, in back-to-back falls, they decided, let's beat it over the head with a stick. 2015, dashboard functionality removed. 2016, the port to plug it in is removed. But don't worry, Microsoft's got you covered. Because for a limited time, if you owned both an Xbox One, aka the brick one with this thing included, and an Xbox One S, because that's probably the only way you had one of these things anyway, you're going to get a free adapter. Nice. What about if I don't own that first one but somehow came into possession of a Kinect? Well, that will cost you $40. And, well, it first was $50, and then they dropped it to $40, and that still seems extreme for being that strange person who bought an S and one of these, but didn't have an original Xbox One. Why would you not reward that person? They owned one of these. What the fuck is one of these? Nobody in their right mind owns one of these, because Microsoft doesn't really support it. Remind you, in 2015, they removed its dashboard functionality. 2013 was the launch of this all-important device that they shoved down everyone's throat. I don't really know why they pulled the rug out from under it so very quickly. Now, things get a little stranger as we get to the last part of this guy's little history here. So, in November 2017, they launched the Xbox One X, the Project Scorpio, the super-powered console, the most powerful console ever known to mankind. It's going to blow your socks off and then kill the PS4 and throw the Switch out or some shit. Well, this guy, endless cord, I swear I can't get to the end, has this thing. Again, what the fuck is this thing? If you just made it a USB port the whole fucking time, we wouldn't have this problem. But then, how could you scam PC players into giving you more money? Well, this guy, again, can't connect to the Xbox One X. What did Microsoft do for the loyal customers who owned an original Xbox One launch edition with this guy, and then went out and spent $500 more, so again, now $1,000 spent on this same, basically, product? Oh, they included nothing, and you can't buy the adapter because basically they had none, and so I don't know what you're supposed to do. Go on eBay and buy it for $300 or so. Well, that's great, because I'm one of those people who owns a launch Xbox One. This guy. And this motherfucker, who is a brick, I swear. The Project Scorpio. See? Right there. See? I don't know why I'm showing the microphone, but there it is. Yep, there he is. Okay. Get him out of the shot. Okay. He's mostly out of the shot. So I own that guy. And this guy. Which means I own an original brick. Which means I am one of their more loyal customers, although I don't really use this guy, or the previous fat one, or this. I've bought both. And so what did they do for me? Well, they didn't include the adapter. They didn't offer a real opportunity to buy the adapter because they were sold out, and so sold out at the time I couldn't even figure out where to buy one, and I had to go and then find an article that was talking about how they're sold out, and then they linked me to the page that said it was sold out. It was a really hard process, and it didn't go very well. And what I came away with was nothing. Did I want an adapter? No. But, again, this is $500. This, along with its big brother, or this big brother, whoever's big brother you want to refer to as, also cost me $500, $1,000 at this point in the last 5 years. And, well, I don't want to use this, but I would have liked the chance to, since I would think, in my mind, the vast majority of people purchasing this guy are people who are loyal to Xbox, who buy lots of gaming products in general, dedicated, hardcore gamers, as some might say. The people who you might want to, keep in your fold, treat them with respect. And I don't know that the little writing I showed you on the front that said Project Scorpio, which was something you got for pre-ordering this guy, I'm not sure that really justifies being a hardcore gamer or a loyal Microsoft supporter. So I would have liked something like this, and I didn't get that. And so I went to buy it, and I couldn't. I am no longer alone, because Microsoft has announced that after careful consideration, they have decided to stop producing the adapter at all. So now, screw you, people who supported us and who own one of these and then went on to buy one of these. Not only can you no longer, as of March, even get the promotion that was offered with the S, but if you were dumb enough to buy our $500 console, the big, super-powered, most powerful console of all time, well, if you were dumb enough to do that, and you were dumb enough to listen to us the first time when we sold you this and a bigger one, well, let me tell you, you're completely screwed, because it's only been a year. But now we're done with that, man. Come on, you want us to produce a little freaking USB adapter? It only costs like 79 cents probably, but we can't do that. We're selling it for $40. We're not making any money on this adapter. Like, first of all, the pricing was insulting because, again, if you somehow own one of these, I don't even know where you got it. But if you did, and you went out to buy an S and you didn't already have an Xbox for some reason, you couldn't get the free promotion, $40, and that was down from the $50 that they initially proposed. Then they were like, oh, that's a little high. Microsoft does this all the time. I remember trying to get component cables for the Xbox 360, and they were like $50, $60, something like that, from Microsoft's website. I went on eBay and got them for like $7. I have no idea what Microsoft does or thinks when they come up with these crazy, crazy peripheral prices. Or even not, they're not even peripherals. They're fucking like wires and adapters. Peripherals is this guy. This guy could be $100. That cannot be. Now, the good news is, if you remember back at the earlier part of this video, I reminded you that this was largely kind of based on the cable thing. You see, it has an IR blaster somewhere in here, which is used for, well, your remote for your cable box. So you can control your cable box or whatever through the Xbox. You can use your normal, standard television remote. So that's good. That was in here. Well, in the S, it was included in the front, so you don't need this guy. Now, was the microphone included? No, because why would we do that? Why would we do the thing people actually want when we are so focused on cable? This guy up here, I am pretty certain has the IR blaster, as I have seen it on the front. There's a little black window-looking thing, and I am 99% sure that that's what that is, but I have not looked it up, but I am pretty certain. So, okay, no longer can you control the dashboard with this guy. No longer does this IR blaster really become necessary because, well, it's included in the box, which probably should have been to start considering they were shoving cable down our throat, but let's not get too testy about that. So, what is this for? Well, it's not for games because they don't make games for it. They basically never did. The 360 they did. This, not so much. Sometimes it used voice aspects like I described with 2K, but not usually. So basically, this is for voice control now. And so I understand not having, the adapter in production any longer. What I don't understand is why exactly you first of all made this very bizarre end to the cord to begin with, other than to, get money from people who want to use it on PC. But the other thing I don't get is why, again, your loyal customers who have bought both your Xbox One X and your standard Xbox, and I guess the S in this scenario, but I'm going with those two because they are the highest price versions of this machine available. And likely, I think, that you're a hardcore enough gamer that you probably own both if you own the big new one. Why exactly could you not throw in the adapter one last time, one last hurrah for the Kinect? Just in case I own one. Because I do. And again, I'm not plugging it in. I was probably never plugging it in. Because, for one, I move the Xbox around a lot, or I used to. Now that I have two, I have no need to move them. I can just throw one on the other television or wherever the fuck else I want, and then leave that one alone. So actually, I might have plugged it in, but considering it almost does nothing at this point, I probably wouldn't have. However, I would have liked the option to, and maybe you only include it with the Project Scorpio, which was the pre-order Xbox One X. Maybe you do that. But you gotta include it. Or, at the very least, you gotta offer me a chance to purchase it, because what you didn't do is that. I never had an opportunity to purchase this. You have recently announced that it is canceled and gone and goodbye. But it was not available when I got this $500 hunk of junk with my $100 other hunk of junk and my $400 other hunk of junk that you've sold me since 2013. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I'm an idiot for listening to you. Maybe I'm an idiot for thinking this would ever be used. Now, you can go back on my channel and find that I never thought this was going to be useful. I bitched about this years ago. I basically have never thought it was going to be useful. There is a long-lost podcast available somewhere. I think I have it on my phone, where we talk about this back when it was Project Natal and it wasn't even a product. They had basically not announced it. It was just a bunch of reports and rumors and, speculation and whatnot. It didn't even have a name. And I remember saying, this is going to be crap. This thing will not work. This can't work. It's impossible that this will work because there's just too many things that won't work. And I referenced it in relation to the PlayStation Eye. I don't know if anyone knows what that peripheral is, but I think I have it somewhere. It was for the PS2, and it was basically a less sophisticated, but Kinect. It was... this one is much more sophisticated even than the 360 one. It's much larger and it's just better. So honestly, the 360 one and the PlayStation Eye are probably similar devices in some ways, but it was a gesture control type of thing. And it didn't work very well, but it was there. And I had one. I was a young child at that point, and I had one. But I didn't really believe at any point that this had much of a future. I thought this wasn't that great of a device, and like the PlayStation Eye, was going to be gone rather quickly. And then they brought it back around for this launch with the Xbox One, and I thought, okay, well, I don't want it because it's costing me $100, and I don't want it. But, okay, they seem committed to it at least, so I'll probably at some point get something out of it. Well, I was so wrong. In 2015, they got rid of one of its more used features, I would imagine, which was the dashboard control, which, again, probably was not that used because it was still slower than using a controller because you got to do, and then wait, hold. Okay, we've clicked. Hold. Okay, we're on the next page. It took forever. Anytime I could do this, that would have been quicker. Every time. However, okay, fine. Why not sometimes have this nifty little feature? Well, let me tell you. We don't have this nifty little feature because we couldn't afford to produce a 79-cent adapter. Alright, this has been my look back at the Kinect. This video is going to be a mess, and I assure you it was a mess, and now that you've seen it, I'm sure it was a disaster. I have never done a video of this type. I have never had a setup where this video was a good idea. Now I have a camera that you're watching. Now I have a camera that you're watching me through. See, we're already doing bad. Microphones, which this is not ideal either. I want a shotgun mic, but I don't have that right now. I have a green screen behind me. I have a table. Also not ideal because it's very reflective and it is taking on the green, but it's fine. I've got monitors. I've got sound equipment. I've got lights everywhere. And we are in a good place as far as the setup. So this is the style. I don't know. Okay, this is not necessarily the style, but I'm experimenting with different types of videos. I've always wanted to do more videos like this in the sense that we're talking about a product or a news item and kind of talking through it and doing that sort of thing. And I've always wanted to have some, at least on-camera presence. I didn't want it to just be over gameplay or over, nonsense. I didn't want to shoot it on my webcam. I didn't want to shoot it with audio from the webcam or whatever else. None of those things ever felt appropriate to me. So I always wanted a setup, and now I have that setup. So you're going to have to give me a break in the sense that I'm probably going to do videos that are not too old. I'm trying not to produce stuff that's like, here comes the launch of the PlayStation. Not pretend like it's 1999 or some shit anymore, but do stuff that's a few days old, a week or two old, news that I would have wanted to cover, but I just don't have the workflow laid out as to how these videos get made. Once I figure out, how much time do I need? Or, do I want to do like this video? I had no script. I took a few notes of just quotes and stuff, and they're on the monitors, but I don't have a script. I didn't plan any of this out. Like, do I need a sheet that says, okay, talk for 3 minutes about the launch of the Kinect originally? Break. Talk for 3 minutes about the Kinect through the life cycle of the Xbox One. Break. Talk for 3 minutes. Like, I don't know if I need that sheet, to lay it out ahead of time. I don't necessarily need to print it, but just to lay it out ahead of time, like, this is where we're going to go to gameplay. This is where we're going to go to, like, I'm going to keep talking, but we're going to have this over the top. I don't know necessarily how I want to do that and what the real format of these videos will be in the end, but I know that the content is something like this. Right now it's games. I have plans to expand into other things that interest me. I'm trying to sort out right now whether that's on this channel or another channel. I'm definitely doing some stuff with my cousin on a separate channel. We're going to start that soon. Some stuff will probably be me solo, but most of it will be both of us. And I plan to do that soon, but I don't know when we're getting, I know roughly when we're running up to it. We're working on it. Okay, there's another microphone here. It's dangling precariously over the floor right now. But that stuff with him, at least, is a podcast format. I'm trying probably to do videos in, again, this sort of kind of format for that as well, but those are definitely going up on a separate page. I may post like snippets here and there just to link you over there, but I don't plan to put those here. I think I want to separate the content, but I don't want this channel dead. Nobody who's subscribed anymore even exists or knows that I do. But I did build something up here, and I do have a history on here, and it bears my name, and it's just, there are reasons I want to continue here. The reason is not that I'm partnered on this channel. That does not pay me very well anymore. But that's not it. But I do want content here. I just don't know. I know that in the past, anytime I stray from my primary, so Call of Duty for this channel, anytime I stray from that, even just over gameplay, but that isn't Call of Duty, that my viewership has dipped. Even when I had good viewership, like 800 or so views a video, if I did Halo, instantly like 250 or something. Like, it would drop, pretty, sharply, even if it's just one day of me doing something different. So I know that people don't like, in general, subscribing to channels that cover lots of content, unless you're a news show, which, covers the news, and the news could be anything. But if you do longer form videos like this on particular topics, I know people don't generally like when you bounce around. So that's why I have the idea to separate them into channels, one for games, one for other stuff. But for right now, I think this channel will be kind of it'll be a testing ground for what I'm doing here. And then after that, It'll be kind of a dump for the things that I don't feel. I'm going to break the rule and on this channel post things that are not of a topic. And it'll be a kind of dump of the things that I don't currently feel I'm going to do enough to make a whole channel over, but that I'm still want to do, and you'll be able to find those here. And this will link to other stuff. But right now, the gaming stuff will stay here. I do think the gaming stuff is one of those topics that will eventually branch off into its own thing, because I also think that once I settle out how I want to do this, I do want to still have a page for, my personal gameplay stuff, me playing whatever, live streaming or whatnot, and that would be better served here, I think, because on those channels I do plan to cover, again, more newsy topics, things like this, and so I don't want to be uploading crap to that, like, here's me shooting somebody really fun, or something, I don't want to upload nonsense, just little clips and stuff that's not in this sort of format, because I think that will be even more of a problem than just random shit. So I think this will eventually return to what it's always been, which is a gameplay focused channel with, again, little short clips and snippets linking to the other content. Probably not at the beginning, probably regularly, like every video or so that I do, I'll link on here in some way, a little 30-second clip of it and then a link. But I don't think I'll do that long term. Long term, I think I'll probably have a video once a week linking to multiple things at once, just so it's not spamming the shit out of you. But right now, where it's going to be largely my content, I think it's fair to link to it or post it here for now. Anyway, whatever. You don't care. This has gone on longer than the actual fucking video, and this probably didn't even work, so I probably have to reshoot half of this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later.